before dawn, and while they're in the area, they work mostly along the ecotone in the territory of the impala. This is Africa's most efficient social predator. Once they have selected a target and stalked close enough, they seldom miss their intended quarry. Again, it is an exhausted male impala that is caught. With a method of killing that appears cruel, dogs are much maligned as vicious, unfeeling brutes. But they kill quickly and share the spoils evenly among themselves. All the while at the waterholes, the situation becomes more and more serious. As thunderstorms threaten to break the desperate grip of the dry season, bull elephants line up patiently in a well-established hierarchy, waiting their turn to drink. This is an organized rotation of dominant individuals and small groups of allies, sometimes standing 50 deep, waiting hours for their turn at the meager, muddy pools. The female herds with their babies are much more anxious about traveling across open areas and drinking at the waterholes. This year, the herds are under extra stress. The distances they have to travel daily between feeding grounds and water has been made even greater by a huge fire that has swept through the northern part of Botswana. They're tired and edgy, and there is an undercurrent of thinly suppressed panic in the nervous herds. Quite often, 2 or 3 breeding groups move in together, causing confusion at the waterhole. The old matriarchs and mothers keep their young under careful surveillance, never letting them get more than a trunk length away. They have carried their babies in pregnancy for nearly 2 years, and the bond between mother and calf is so powerful that it will last their entire lives. A young bull calf, barely 2 months old, arrives with the group. His back is freshly caked with mud where his mother has bathed him to prevent sunburn. The herd spends time enjoying a drink and a splash before setting off again in the late afternoon. The walk back to the feeding grounds will be challenging, as the hot winds of October blow up a dust storm that will rage through the night. Early the next morning, it appears something has gone terribly wrong in the night. The young calf with the muddy back has somehow become separated from his herd in the dust and darkness, and now he finds himself utterly and desperately alone. Elephants, with their deep social bonds, are known to adopt stranded orphans. If he can attach himself to other elephants or find his own herd very soon, he stands a good chance of survival. The little calf is as helpless and confused as a human infant would be without his mother. It's obvious that he can smell her and the herd in their dung surrounding the pools, and he spends time sniffing at the familiar, comforting smells. He also picks up the scent of elephants on the trees where they have rubbed themselves after mud bathing. In his confused and panicked state, he leans up against the tree as if it were his mother's leg, trying vainly to draw some comforting, reassuring gesture from an unyielding, inanimate object. After his first hours alone, help arrives in the form of a few huge elephant bulls. His desperation for contact is obvious as he approaches the adults to greet them. With little more than a brief inspection, the bulls mysteriously ignore the little waif as they make their way to the waterhole. The calf struggles along in their wake, calling frantically for attention. The calf is still totally dependent on milk. He can't even drink water for himself, and as the temperature steadily rises into the hundreds, he becomes more and more thirsty. Without the bulk of his mother to protect him from the sun, dehydration begins to set in. Desperately thirsty, and now even more confused, he attempts to suckle from the bulls at the waterhole. At first, the adults ignore the pitiful advances of the youngster, but as he becomes more persistent, their indifference turns to anger. In the water, he is repeatedly kicked by one of the bulls. The blows from such a huge animal to the soft young head obviously stun and damage him. Even after such violent treatment, the urge to be close is too powerful, and he struggles after the adults. Like an abused child, he knows nothing else to do but follow and keep trying to make a friend. It's midday now and fiercely hot. The temperature in the sun is over 120 degrees, and the bulls have retreated to the sparse shade of some nearby trees. The orphan continues desperately to seek attention and comfort, but is continually rejected. His utter confusion and lack of understanding of what is happening to him is obvious. He spends the hottest part of the day dejectedly circling the herd in the baking sun. As the bulls start to leave in the afternoon, the tiny stray tries to follow, and the rejections begin to get more violent. This aggressive behavior is highly unusual, considering the gentle and tender nature of elephant social life. The calf retires to a small grove of trees, where he stands shivering and twitching in what appears to be a state of complete nervous collapse. The resilience of this little beast, however, is remarkable, and his will to live drives him back out into the open. He once again attempts to suckle, this time on a tree, before heading back to the waterhole. Having collapsed at the edge, he barely manages to drag himself into the mud. At last, it seems there is real hope when a herd of cows with a young calf his age suddenly arrives to drink. As he persists in getting close to the herd's own calf, the reaction of the females is shocking. This would be the ideal group to adopt the stray. With young calves of their own, the females are lactating, and their overpowering maternal instinct should be stimulated by the calf. But instead, he is once again violently rejected. With remarkable tenacity, he keeps following. But now, the matriarch has had enough, and this time actually tries to kill the bewildered baby. It's obvious that something is dramatically wrong. Is this violent reaction an indication of the stress the elephants are under? Can the females simply not afford the energy to adopt the youngster because this year's meager resources are barely enough to raise their own offspring? Is there something physically wrong with the baby that the other animals can sense and want to avoid? Whatever the answer, time is running out now. As the sun sets, the final act in this desperate tragedy of a day begins to unfold. Under the very eyes of bulls who would normally savagely defend a calf, the executioners of the night move in. Although his death is violent and brutal, it is merciful at the same time. He will not have to endure another minute of the loneliness, bewilderment, and pain that was this terrible day. Dawn at the waterhole shows no evidence of the previous day's events. Life in Africa goes on with a ceaseless, uninterrupted rhythm. Every event has its place and fits seamlessly into the flow of days and nights. It's the beginning of November now. The impalas do not have long to hold on until the first rains. The pregnant females are in the most dangerous 2 weeks of their lives. Sunken flesh around pelvic bones and protruding ribs are the only indicators of their poor condition. They are alert because predators know that the time is never better to catch these normally elusive antelope. Still, the most dangerous time for them is the trip back to the plains. The female cheetah has spent the whole winter preying on impala, and with her cubs almost fully grown, is having to hunt every day. It is a good time to be a cheetah. Through the season, the cheetahs have lost over 70% of their kills to the hyena, so the female has changed her behavior. Few of her kills are far from cover now. Once she has caught this pregnant impala, she drags it, still alive, under some bushes. The cubs are learning to kill, but the noise may attract the hyenas again, so she swiftly dispatches it. Every day now is critical. The rains are almost here. Female impalas have the incredible ability to delay giving birth for up to 2 weeks. They then produce all the lambs in the herd within a few days of each other, providing safety in numbers. Invariably, though, females who mated first in the season can't hold on, and there are early arrivals. The hunters of the plains know that these youngsters represent an easy meal. With pups of their own to feed, the wild dogs are targeting the babies. Once the herd is panicked, the babies are on their own. It's just a matter of running them down. This dog displays the skill of a seasoned hunter by keeping the baby running in circles, cutting off its escape at every turn. The pack will probably kill most of the early babies, but the herd is almost out of danger. Localized storms are now releasing rain only miles away. And the big thunderstorms, bringing the season's first heavy downpours, are starting to roll in. The rain very quickly brings a close to the seemingly incessant days of heat, dust, and death. The land is rejuvenated, springing to new life, and the impala give birth to a whole new generation. They will have 4 short months of plenty to build their strength before the beginning of the next savage season.